you're going against your values in some way. That there's like this cognitive dissonance maybe, or hypocrisy in your values and actions.
Absolutely, yeah. Most people are hypocritical. They'll say exactly what I'm saying, and they'll go and have a chicken burger.
Hi, you want to have a conversation? Okay, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, man. Hi, Dom.
What's your name? Dom?
Yeah.
Okay, nice to meet you. So I'm just making a video of like some conversations, social experiment. You're okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay, so can you step a bit further so you're in the frame? Okay, great. So nice to meet you. I really appreciate you stopping and having a conversation. So I'm going to start with 3 questions that I always start with, at least today.
Cool.
So what do you think about animals in general?
Animals are pretty important to the kind of the whole planet, the ecosystem, definitely. So we need to look after them. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. So they play an important role in the ecosystem. Insects as well. Like without them, without bees, we would probably go extinct, right?
I mean, like, if you watch any of the David Attenborough programs, and it's crazy, and a lot of it's disappearing. So, if you want it for generations, you got to look after it. And we're not looking after them.
Yeah, that's right. So what about, have you grown up with animals, like as companions, or you've seen them?
We've never had any animals. My family, they emigrated from India to the UK, and it was more important just working and making up, and so we never had any pets, but my kids would really like pets. But I think the only thing I've ever had, we had a guinea pig. And my daughter really loved it for about a week, and after that I looked after it. But really that's about it really. But I think later in life maybe we'll get a dog, probably.
You would at least then think that there's a personality in there. They have personalities. It's kind of like a little person in there. They have their preferences and dislikes and all these things. They can even get depressed. And would you say that animals have intrinsic moral value because they value their own life?
I think they do. I mean, when you do see dogs, I've got friends who've got dogs, and you look at their eyes, they look human, so they kind of know, they sense what's going on. So they've got a lot of human qualities, I would say, and they obviously value their own life, definitely, yeah.
It's like they don't want to get hurt, they want to get abused.
No,
right?
Fight and flight, they know something's happening, they're going to sort something out, So.
Yeah, and it's like they're so similar to us in many ways that really matters. Like they have the capacity, they're sentient, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So the third question might be a bit tough one. Would you say that you are against animal abuse?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, why? In England there's a lot of kind of anti kind of cruelty stuff, like fox hunting was banned, stuff like that. So absolutely. I mean, it doesn't make any sense really. Different cultures have different things, so it kind of varies. Like you see a lot of stuff with bears and monkeys and all this kind of stuff to make money, but it's economic. So money, it's really hard to stop. Yeah, definitely. So. But everyone's got to treat everyone the same,
I really like that. Yeah, I enjoy your perspective. I agree. So, what about the animals we enslave and send to the slaughterhouse on our behalf?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, I do eat meat, and my daughter's a vegetarian, and they always say to me, it's not right. But ultimately, I don't know. I think if we were living like a more old lifestyle, fending off the earth, like the cavemen, you'd eat animals, So. I think the problem now is just because it's too plentiful and it's too cheap. So you don't really value what you're eating. Whereas in the olden days, you'll probably really value eating meat. So, but it's just part of life. And I think try and eat less. We certainly have a lot of vegetarian days. And then when you do, just really value kind of like the sacrifice that was made,
Yeah. So would you say that, for example, in the times we were cavemen and so on, like it was, and even maybe 50, 100 years ago, it was more like a necessity to be able to survive, maybe to eat animals. But
I think it was a luxury. I mean, I don't think most people could afford it. I mean, even when I was growing up, we'd have meat once a week, and now it's like people eat it 2-3 times a day. And I think it's just industry and big business and making it cheap and mass producing and farms and all that crap. So. But I think, I wish it would go back to that, but once the genie's out of the bottle, it's hard to put it back down, I think. So
in regards to what is happening to animals, what we're putting them through, I would say that, at least for the animals in their perspective, it's an injustice because we're taking away their bodily autonomy, we're enslaving them, we are exploiting them and ultimately killing them, right? So would you have, because you said that we should do it less, right? So less is better because it's a spectrum, right? It's better. But would you have the same stance in other injustices like slavery, racism? Would you say, oh, we can reduce it, that's fine, but or would you say that we should just stop?
I think against humans, I suppose obviously, there should be a zero, so equality, lack of racism, lack of, LGBT rights, all that is like 100%. I think it's just things with animals, I'm not as extreme, perfectly honest. But when you challenge me in that way, you think, well, why isn't it, So, but I think certainly humans certainly need to respect each other a lot more. Definitely, and it's not happening in the world today,
Yeah, and it's probably more easy to empathize with humans because we're similar, right? So I think the further down you go with the dissimilarities, I guess, then the less empathy we usually have for, let's say, with dogs, because we have them as pets. We feel maybe closer to them, so our perception of them is different, and we treat them nicer. But let's say then pigs, then suddenly it's like, oh no, we can abuse and kill pigs for a taste pleasure, right? And then if you go further down to fish, they can't scream and they look different from us. So then we have like less empathy for them, but they still are sentient and they feel pain, right?
Yeah, of course they do. And I think it's back to man's got needs to food. If we had lived in the olden days, we had our own plots and good food and you had your chickens, you'd eat it. But the whole mass industry now has just changed everything. I don't know how we're going to get out of it,
Yeah, and I think that we're not going to be able to change like policies with this quickly because they will have to go against 95% of the population, right? But so I think we should take individual responsibility, right? So if you're against animal exploitation, do you think, is it possible to be against it and then still consume animal products, even if it's unnecessary?
Animal products is different. I mean, things like testing on perfumes and stuff like that.
Yeah, everything. Everything like dairy, eggs, meat, leather, the skin.
I mean, everyone, end of the day, you try and do organic and and try and do some of it is like it's been slightly better, but the cost differential is massive, and they need to make it more every day. And then most people try and do that as well.
What about because now we talk about cost and it's like a human context, but what about the victim? Would you agree that everything is a personal choice until it inflicts someone else? Like there's a victim involved?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you've seen it as a victim. You don't generally do that on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly,
because it's a norm.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a bit like, you would have had to kill the animal in the olden days. You would have gut it, do it, and you would have felt a lot more affinity. Whereas now, it's just there on the supermarket and it's in plastic and you don't know what it came from. So
we're so
I think if you go back to those days, then you would eat less and you'd respect him a lot more as well, So awesome.
Have you heard about veganism?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Can you describe your perception of what veganism is? Because some people get it wrong because it's so diluted and misinformed.
Well, I think there's difference. I mean, like in my family, my daughter's been a vegan and like certainly avoiding anything kind of like that's animal-led or animal-based, and it's more a way of life as well. I think for her as well. So. And end of the day, I struggle with things like eggs and things. I really like eggs, but it's the discipline, And I've tried alternatives, and they're good, but they're really expensive.
Yeah,
so
sometimes they can be,
and they're not good for you. I tried Satan meat and all that, and it's really expensive, and it's not actually that healthy. So all this kind of like look like meat products, they're not great.
So the great thing is that we don't have to live in a plant-based diet, we don't have to consume those products, right? It's just like this maybe easy substitute for people who want to enjoy kind of the same look and taste, texture, right? So it's like a good transitioning thing, maybe.
I think it's wrong that they try and copy meat eaters and try and eat meat lookalikes. I think it's weird. It's like, why are you eating a chicken burger that's not a chicken? Like, just eat vegetables, you know what I mean? But, well, I always have that row of it all the time.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. How I see it now is that, it's... people don't go vegan because they didn't like the taste. I've been vegan for 4 years now, and I didn't stop because I didn't like the taste. I love the taste. I ate it every day, and so it's for me it was about the ethical issue. So veganism, it's a moral stance. It's the doctrine that man should live without exploiting and using animals. Does that ethical stance speak to you?
Well, I think it does. I just probably haven't got the willpower and the time to really invest in it. You know, you need a lot of willpower. You know, it's really tough, and you know, and you got to be really principled. And I'm probably not as principled as I need to be. So, but I admire people who do it. You know, awesome. You know.
So this is a very tough question. Do you think with your actions that you are you're going against your values in some way? That there's like this cognitive dissonance maybe, or hypocrisy in your values and actions?
Absolutely, yeah. Most people are hypocritical. They'll say exactly what I'm saying, and they'll go and have a chicken burger. You know, so but I mean, it's part of life. Until they make it so easy not to live like that, it's never going to change. And you know, if you rack the price up of all meat products and dairy products by 100%, it will change overnight. It will change overnight. You know, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And habits, culture, tradition. There are so many things that incentivize us to keep going in the same track as before, right? And I think that's why it's important to have these conversations and think about it, get informed, get new perspectives, and then reflect upon it, and then maybe hopefully act, right?
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't expect this whatsoever. You know. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
So,
habit. So if you look at Hinduism, the majority of Hindu people are. Oh, is it being recorded? They're born not eating meat, and as they grow up, they stick to it because they've not had the exposure. So they've not had the exposure. It's easier for them. Whereas I think other culture societies, they have the exposure.
Yeah, it's normalised. It's normalised from when you're born, and to then break it, it's really hard. So, but. Yeah, that's been interesting.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the conversation. And what would stop you from going vegan? What do you think would be like? Would anything really stop you? Like, let's say someone.
I think it's willpower.
It's
willpower, and the ease of meat products and dairy products.
So maybe convenience, tradition, habits.
Also the taste, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you have a meal, if it's a meat meal, it's usually based. I mean, you've had meat yourself, right? So if you have a chicken meal, that becomes the main piece on your plate. I think with veganism, you have to then create more interesting meals to substitute it.
Yeah, I guess
it takes a lot more effort to think about it. Like when you do your, you know, the pulsars and all those in the salads, you've got to really think quite hard about it and what flavouring. Chicken, just put it in and eat it, and it's just it's too simple, you know.
Yeah, so I would say that everything that is a habit, really ingrained habit, is difficult to change quickly, and it takes some effort, right? But for me as well, I think it took maybe 3 weeks, a month until I was like, okay, now it's like second nature to me, and then it's easy. And I don't plan my meals a lot. I don't think about it. It's very easy now that I've lived vegan for a while, and I had the willpower. I saw the ethical issue, and I didn't know how to live vegan. And I didn't really know about veganism that much, but I got some information. I saw what happens in the industries, and I thought, shit, I'm a big hypocrite. My values and actions are so far apart, and tomorrow. The only way I can live is vegan. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to figure out how because I was so motivated.
You were healthier.
Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of science that is pointing to the direction that eating more plant-based it can be very beneficial and healthier for us. It doesn't have to be 100% plant-based diet. It's not necessarily the healthiest diet, but you can be very, very healthy and you have less risk of heart disease and all-cause mortality and so on. And you can even look at, have you heard about the blue zones in the world? Where a lot of people live till they're 100 and above. So there are, I think, 5 blue zones in the world because there's a certain concentration of people who and in all of these blue zones, there's even documentaries on this. They found out that they looked at many different aspects, and one was, of course, diet, to figure out like what's the recipe for this. And they ate maybe 5 to 10% animal-based, and rest was vegetables and mostly whole foods, plant-based. And that's what I eat because I also care about health. Like I said, veganism isn't a diet; it's not about health, but I also care about health, so therefore I try to eat healthy as well.
Brilliant, really good.
What I want to leave you with is that you know, we have to take personal responsibility, and we have to hold, because I'm basically here speaking up on the behalf of animals, and I think if you were in their position, you would someone to speak up for you as well, right? And I think the least I can do is to speak the truth, and I think most people appreciate the truth.
We know the truth.
And we also have to be held accountable for our actions, because ultimately it's our actions that put these animals in.
How many of these conversations a day do you have?
I just recently started. I started yesterday. So yesterday I had 5 conversations. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. Remember to like the video if you liked it and leave a comment. Consider subscribing and sharing with your friends. Here are some other videos you might like. Until next time, peace.